Lin-Manuel Miranda, you are the man of the moment, the man of the hour, the man of the year.
Thank you. I remember being Conrad Birdie, and all the girls in the grade had to faint when I sang. And I said, I'm doing this for the rest of my life.
Maybe you've heard of him, NFL superstar, Hall of Famer Joe Montana.
The game is just so much fun. I always say I wish people could go out on the field one Sunday afternoon and play the game. And win or lose, just to get that feeling of what it's like out there. Because there's nothing like it, and nothing like it around.
Tony Robbins.
I just started to cry. And I realized in that moment, this happened because I did what was right. I didn't do things for brownie points. I didn't do it for positioning. My heart knew it was right, and I did it. And I was rewarded. It's like the money showed up.
But how is that different from me wanting to give my last paycheck to the Broadway show I want to invest in?
It's not different than that. If you did that once, it would be good. If you do it regularly, you're in trouble.
Fair enough.
Theatrical.
Todrick, I love you.
Thank you. You're so sweet. I think we're going to be best friends.
I agree.
I'm following you back on Instagram and Twitter right now, and it's going to be a BFF situation. You have no choice.
Welcome, Tori Amos.
Hi, Laura. What's going on in the world, we have to respond to that and work together every night, collaboratively. I think that's essential because it's important that we're sharing, yes, our stories, but we're also planting seeds.
Liza Koshy. You are both on screen and off, really setting an incredible example for the young people of today. And it's really been an honor to spend this time with you today, Liza.
I'm in love with you.
Let's get married.
Let's go.
Welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews. That was a little bit of a quick transition. I'm Laura Heywood, and today...
On today's show, Laura Heywood interviews...
Mandy Gonzalez! Hey, everybody! Mandy Gonzalez is, of course, Angelica Schuyler in Hamilton on Broadway. Maybe you've heard of it. She's also been Elphaba in Wicked, Princess Amneris in Aida. She originated the now classic role of Nina Rosario in the Heights, and before she was famous, she toured as a backup singer for Bette Midler. What? On screen, you've seen her in Julie Taymor's Across the Universe and the hit TV drama Madam Secretary. Her debut album, Fearless, shares a name with the inspiring squad she leads on social media. And on March 30th, you can see her in concert at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center. She has two shows that night, 6 p.m. and 8:30. I recommend making it a doubleheader and grabbing tickets to both shows, available at Ticketmaster. Mandy's also a mom to a beautiful daughter, a fierce advocate for multiple nonprofits, including UNICEF. And in a few weeks, Mandy will be heading to D.C. to star in the Kennedy Center's production of The Who's Tommy. This is a busy woman, everybody. There's a reason they call her the Beast. Mandy Gonzalez, welcome to Laura Heywood Interviews.
Thank you for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here.
I am so thrilled that you're here, especially because we are going to talk about fearlessness.
Yes.
And I'm just
ready.
at the very beginning of this new radio adventure at DNR Studios.
Yeah.
And I am facing a lot of my own fears.
Of course, which is a good thing.
It definitely is.
People always think like fearlessness means without fear. Like you have to get rid of fear in order to succeed or to be where you want to be. But really it's accepting the fear and just working through it that allows you to get where you need to go. So I think you're in the right place.
Thank you.
I think it's always great to get somewhere comfortable and then to take a risk and go to the next place. So this is definitely like being in here. It's so beautiful and like wooden floors. This is definitely the new place.
It is. It's fantastic. And I think what a lot of people don't know, especially those who have just found out about DNR Studios from signing up to support me,
right,
is that there are 10 other shows on this platform.
Right.
And so they all come with a subscrition.
Which is amazing.
I know.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm doing a plug, but I wasn't even really
No, I mean,
to.
you had just told me about it, so I'm just kind of learning about it. But I would say that DNR Studios so far is beautiful, and they have really good snacks and and water, which sometimes when you go places, that's just... You just do what you do. So they make you feel comfortable.
Kitchen. Good. Well, I'm glad you're here, especially on a 2-show day.
Yes, definitely. Well, my 2-show day starts early. You know, I'm a mother to a 7-year-old, so my day starts at 6:45.
Oh my gosh.
And then, so I've had a full day already. So this is really my vocal warm up, which is nice because usually I don't talk very much in the morning. Once I drop my daughter off to school, it's usually just like the gym. So this is a good way to like get going.
Oh, good. I didn't know whether you were going to say like usually you have to stay on vocal rest because of all those crazy Angelica Schuyler high notes.
I know. No, I think vocal rest, that definitely was something that I did before I had a child. And then once you have a child, it's just like, what is that? You know, like she's like, why aren't you talking? Like, what do you mean? So that, you know, it just doesn't happen. You just keep going until you can't go anymore.
Well, and didn't you get that Beast nickname because you like didn't show up for a vocal warm up one time and they were like,
yes, not just one time, but that happened during In the Heights. We had vocal warm up very often with Alex Lackamore, which we still have here at Hamilton, and you know, that's the beauty of working with Alex and that team, is that they make sure that the show that the audience sees is very, very like polished and ready. So we have rehearsals like every 2 weeks as a company, which is nice because sometimes when you're on stage and singing as a company, you don't really get to hear one another because you're standing on the other side of the stage. So sitting in a theater and singing together with just piano, acoustic, you know, it's just beautiful. So, but you know, there are times when you just can't show up because, not because you're flaking, but something else comes up.
yeah,
and
you've got to take your daughter somewhere.
well, yeah, or during In the Heights, you know, like you just don't know what's happening. So there was one time when everybody was in the theater singing and somebody said to Karen Olivo at the time, like, where's Mandy? Why isn't she here? And Karen said, the Beast don't need no vocal warm-up. So that the name The Beast has stuck. Everybody calls me The Beast. When they see me, they say Beast. And at first I was like, what's the Beast? Like, what does this mean? Like, I have curly hair. Like, am I a beast? Like,
Yeah, it's the opposite of the beauty.
Yeah, Beauty and the Beast. I was like, what is it? What is it? But I now wear it with a badge of honor. So it feels good. Yeah.
I always think of you whenever I see like, I'm a beast in the gym, you know, or stuff like that. And I'm like, yes, I'm part of Mandy's
I hope so. I'm
team.
trying to, you know, have the Beast come up with me in the gym and just get me there. So hopefully I can channel a little bit of that myself.
Do you have to, speaking of the gym, do you have to work on being able to move and sing at the same time? It's one of the things that I'm always so curious about Broadway performers is how they do all that cardio and still have the breath support.
Definitely. I think that, you know, I'm a singer who moves well.
You've
Let's
said that
just
to
say
me
that.
before.
No, it's so true. It's so true. When we had to dance, I mean, one of my worst auditions, you know, it's always that thing of fake it till you make it in our business. And so if somebody asks you, can you do this? It's always, yes, and I can do this. And, you know, but then you don't expect that person to actually ask you to do it. But there was one audition when I was first starting. I think I had done Eli's Coming at the Vineyard Theater. And so I was starting to get my name out there. And so people would call me in for auditions. And this one audition I went to, the choreographer saw me at Eli's Coming, and he was like, oh, well, Mandy can dance. Like, we already know you can dance. So we're going to have you sing, and then whoever the accompanist was, we're going to have him play music, and then you're just going to dance along. Like, you know, just come up with something. And I was
Freeform?
like, yeah, like freeform dance. And there were people warming up outside, like doing the splits, and I've never been able to do the splits. I blame it on my, you know, my height, but I'm just not like a limber person. And so it was my worst nightmare. So I sang my song, you know, I killed it. And then they were like, okay, here we go. 5, 6, 7, 8. And I swear, like, I just started doing like pushbacks. I did like a couple pirouette turns. And then I stopped and the music stopped and there was just silence. Like, they were just like, this is horrible. And it's just who I am, you know, and I've learned to accept that. But fearless, I did it anyway. Yeah. But I think, for performers that do have to move and sing at the same time, it's part of, once you start doing an 8-show week, it's just part of getting into that groove and finding where you have to work a little bit harder, where you have to pull back a little bit. But really, Wicked was my biggest training session for that, because they had a treadmill upstairs that Aida Menzel used to run on and sing, and they were like, this is a great thing for Elphaba because you have to run through trapdoors. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know what that is. And then And then I did that. So I sang the songs as well as like run, and I did that in my Brooklyn neighborhood as well. But it really prepared me for that role because the dress weighs like 8 pounds and the broom's heavy, and you do have to run up trap doors and all that kind of stuff. So that kind of prepared me. And then getting ready for Angelica and having to wear a corset 8 times a week, it changes
your lungs.
Yeah, it really changes your breath support. So you have to remind your body before you start to breathe from your diaphragm, and to breathe a little bit lower than you normally would, so everything in your throat doesn't get tight. So it's just a matter of like trial and error, you know, doing the 8 shows and then going, oh, I'm really tired. Oh, okay, because this isn't working for me, or you know what. So it's just really listening to your body.
So just to clarify, there was a point at which you were going for runs in Brooklyn, singing Defying Gravity at the top of your lungs.
Pretty much.
I would pay to see that. I would pay so much to see that.
Well, it's funny. It's like, it's in Williamsburg in Brooklyn. Before Williamsburg was Williamsburg, you know, we moved there in the year 2000. And, you know, it was when the few people wanted to live there. My husband's a painter, so he had a studio there. And now, like, artists can't afford studios there. It's like a whole different thing. So I think now the norm would probably be to see, you know, musical theater actors like running in Brooklyn. At that time, I definitely wasn't the norm, but people just thought I was like, I had, you know, problems or something. Yeah. Who knows?
That crazy lady sure has a great voice.
Right. She's on pitch. Wow. No, but the thing is that living in New York and living in like a Brooklyn apartment, you have to, I come from California, and so I lived in a house. It wasn't a big house, but it was a house, which had a yard, and you could sing and the neighbors couldn't hear you. But in Brooklyn, everybody can hear you. So it's a matter of also getting comfortable singing in your apartment building. And I used to have this little girl, Lola, who's now in high school, like 17. And, you know, she's been there since we moved there. And she used to sing along with me during my warm-ups. And then she would come out like into the hallway and just start singing Part of Your World, like the beginning. And she'd go, oh, now I sing it low because it's early. But now I see Lola and I'm like, remember when you used to do that? And she's got like purple hair and she's like, no, I don't remember that. I'm like, you were so cute. Okay, well, take care.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You know, Laura Benanti told me a story about how she grew up on 54th Street and her neighbors would be like, stop singing. You're keeping everybody awake. And then she now goes to does shows at 54 Below, like less than a block away. And those same people are paying big bucks to hear her sing.
It's
She's
so
like,
true.
You should have enjoyed it while you had it.
Well, I say the same thing about my brother and sister, because we had this rule in my family, no singing at the table, because I was the only...
We had that rule too.
Did you really? Mm-hmm. Oh, what do you mean you have that rule? You still have that rule?
No. Well, I guess probably. I mean, I still spend a fair amount of time with my parents. Yeah. I still think they wouldn't let me sing.
Oh, it's so funny. But now, you know, my brother, he comes to, you know, with his wife, they come to Hamilton, they come to everything, and they're like, I'm very proud of you. And even though, you know, I was so uncool, like growing up, in his eyes, I think he always had a little bit of pride. So that feels good. Yeah. You know, there would still probably be no singing at the table and things like that. Now it's my daughter who actually tells me not to sing too much. Like,
Mom, you're so annoying.
She's just like, just be quiet. Like, let me do it. Oh. I'm like, oh, okay, well, cool.
Is she going to be a performer?
I don't know. I think she'll probably be a director.
She's already directing.
Well,
you.
she just definitely, and she directs her. You know, she's the only child, so she directs her dolls and her friends, like everybody. But she definitely has a very amazing imagination, and she expresses it so beautifully. And so I just feel like she's going to be a writer, a director, and if she wants to act too, whatever she wants, as long as she's happy.
Well, and her dad's a painter.
Yes,
so maybe she'll have a little of that in her.
Well, that's why I was like, well, maybe she'll just be a doctor and like, you know, go against everything. Yeah. Which I'm totally cool with.
So I did a little math last night, and I was looking at the date you started at Hamilton.
Yeah.
It was like exactly 2.5 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Last week. So, because I think you started on the 16th of September.
Yeah,
in 2016.
Did. Right.
Which makes so the 16th of March was 2.5 years to the day. And then I figured out if you were doing 8 shows a week.
Yeah.
And you are, but I mean, you've obviously had some days off here and there. I think it would be about 1,050 shows.
Oh my God.
And I don't know how many days you've taken off, but I'm guessing you're just about at your 1,000th performance in Hamilton.
I'm sure it feels that way. I think I feel very proud about that. That's
Yeah.
like
How many people
amazing.
have anything they've done 1,000 times in their life?
I don't know. I think, oh, wow, that's very, it's so crazy because it goes by so fast. You know, when you're doing something that you love, it's like, oh, wow, this really, I feel like if I didn't have my kid, I wouldn't really feel like time has passed. But, you know, when I started, she was 4.5, I guess, and now she's 7. And it's just like, wow, like her life has changed so much. You know, now she's reading and she's doing all these amazing things. So, but being able to do something you love, and it's really like how my life has changed is kind of incredible, like through Hamilton, you know, through this experience.
Do you understand Angelica in a different way than you did when you started? Like, are you still learning things about her?
Oh,
and I
yeah.
don't mean the historical character.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, there's not a
Angelica
lot
that-
written about her. So I think so much is left to the imagination and to the person that helped create who she is in the Hamilton stage, which is Lin-Manuel, Tommy Kail, Alex Lacamoire, Andy, and Renee.
Yeah.
So I think that, but I think that I understood who she was from the beginning, because I felt like I've always been a leader. I've always been a protector, even though I'm the youngest in my family, which is kind of weird. But I'm always the one to kind of keep us all together. Like I'm the one that, I guess because I'm so nosy, I'm the one who calls and I'm like, what's happening? What's happening with this person? What's happening with that person? But I'm also a mother, and I feel like being a mother, I've had to find my voice a lot more. And being a performer, it's so much about like just getting the job and trying to fit into the mold of what that is. And when you become a mom and you have to, when I became a mom, you know, it wasn't like I had a job to go back to. You know, I wasn't in a show, and so I had to really start again and audition, and now I was auditioning from this perspective of casting directors that knew me, and now they knew I was a mom. So they put me into like a different category, and so that was like a very interesting thing because like I've never wanted to be in anybody's like category. So I decided to start creating my own things and my own space, and started doing concerts and started writing children's books and doing things like that. And so by the time I came to Hamilton, I felt like I knew what it was to fight to be heard, you know, and so, but now I don't know, I see so much more of her every day just with sacrifice, and I feel for her, you know, that I know that she would have been on that stage right with Hamilton had she been alive right now. You know, she just was an incredible woman. Yeah.
I want to hear about what's happening with The Who's Tommy.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to work with this cast. It's actually one of my favorite scores. You know, when I was first coming up and I auditioned, my first audition was when I was 19, and I saw in the Village, it wasn't the Village Voice, it was like the Daily News in Los Angeles, and I was going to Cal Arts. I saw an advertisement for Rent for the tour or whatever. I had just seen Rent on the Tony Awards in '96, and I'm dating myself, but that's okay. I'm proud of it.
We're the same age, girl.
I'm proud of it. But it changed my life because I was like, oh my gosh, they look like me. And Daphne Rubin Vega is Latina, and she's on Broadway and she's singing rock and roll. Like, this is what I want to do. And so I told my mom, we have to submit my picture, which I had like my high school photo from like whatever, and my resume. And then I got a call from Bernie Telsey's office that said, I think they said I had a callback. And I didn't realize that the callback meant that I had a call to wait in line with other people for Rent. But my mom, I begged my mom, and my parents put together their money, and they bought plane tickets for me and my mom to go to New York. And we stayed at the Novotel, which is right above the late night show, or like across from there. And,
right on Broadway.
Right on Broadway. And I waited in line, and I brought my sheet music with me, and my song was Acid Queen.
That's awesome. awesome.
From the Who's Tommy. So I know I'm not the acid queen in the Who's Tommy, but being able to do this show is total full circle moment for me because that song allowed me to get all the way through. I never booked Rent, but I made it all the way to meet Bernie Telsey, who completely changed my life and my career and has pretty much, aside from Cindy Tolan and who else? I can't think of who else, but has cast me in most of my shows in New York. So I give the Who's Tommy a lot of credit for where I am.
That's amazing. I'm gonna have to find a way to get down there to DC to see it.
Oh, you have to come. I know.
Like, it's like you and Wes Taylor.
I know.
And Casey Cott and
Christian.
Yeah,
I can't wait. And
Burrell.
Christian and I actually, I don't know if he remembers this, but we did. Okay, so during Aida, when I first started doing Aida, I was a standby for Idina Menzel. And like I said, I was a total Rent head. So, I tried to act very cool around D, but that's when I found out people were like, oh, her friends call her D. And I was like, oh, right. Hey, D. And, all that stuff. But I tried to act really cool around her. And now being somebody who's a lead, standbys don't normally hang out in your dressing room, but I did. I was just like, hey, what's going on? Like, I would just come and
want to be best friends.
Exactly. Like, visit her. And she was so nice. She just let me hang out. And I think because I was just like, I just want to know everything about her. And so she had told me at the time, I'm doing this new show, Wicked. She had the script and she was like, but I don't know, it's Warner Brothers. It's a big deal. And, I'm really excited about it. I was like, oh, dear, it's going to be great. You're going to get it. Like, don't worry about it. So then cut to a few months later, they're doing the first reading of it in New York City. And, I was asked to be, Joe Mantello has also been really wonderful to me. And he always would ask me to be a part of the ensemble for different projects he was doing. And that was one of those projects. And I was on the ensemble for the first read through of Act 1 of Wicked with Christian Borle and Celia Keenan-Bolger. And I think Sutton was also in the ensemble. But so this is my first time working with Christian on a lead level. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I got to book my tickets.
Right.
And then speaking of booking tickets, you've got a couple of concerts coming up on Saturday the 30th in New Jersey.
Yes.
It's not just Fearless this time.
No.
Is it called Beyond Fearless?
It's called More Than Fearless.
More Than Fearless.
And it is directed by Richard J. Alexander, which I'm really excited about.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing.
He's amazing. Musical direction by James Sampliner. It's a whole new show and just kind of going further into my love of musical theater. So I'm going to be singing songs that I used to sing with my grandmother in the car when I was 8 years old, like dream roll kind of songs in my little playhouse kind of time on the show. So which will be so great. And my grandma, who's 97, lives in California, but if she could see it, she would be so proud. But so I'm excited because there's so many roles that I want to do. And there's so, people think, oh, will you sing this or you sing that? But I am a theater, lover. I love musical theater. And
spectrum.
So that's part of concert is that I get to play and be whatever I want to be. I can sing Mama Rose now, which I love. And so, so I'm excited.
I may have to just travel for that too. I want to see everything you do. And actually, that's a perfect lead into a subject that I am increasingly passionate about, which is the idea that especially people in the public eye, we get used to categorizing them in a certain way.
Yeah.
And you're the beast. You've got this belt, and
Right.
people associate you with a certain kind of role.
Right.
And yet, there's so much more to you. For me personally, one of the reasons I called this show Laura Heywood Interviews instead of the Broadway Girl Show is
Right.
that even though I truly love musical theater and I spend probably 80 hours a week doing some kind of musical theater
Right.
related stuff,
Right.
that is not my whole identity.
Right.
And I, in the intro to this show, I included interviews I've done with Joe Montana, the football player, and Tori Amos, the Grammy-nominated songwriter,
Yeah.
and a bunch of social media people, and I am always really excited to talk to people about something that their professional categorization or even their branding doesn't touch on, and that's why I created this segment called Yes, and.
Yes, and. Yes, and. Yes, and. Yes, and. Yes, and. Yes, and. Yes, and.
So, Mandy Gonzalez, you are a musical theater actress. You are a mom. You have an incredible resume. But what's something that doesn't usually come up in interviews? What would people be surprised to learn about Mandy Gonzalez?
I think people would be surprised. I mean, if you've been to my concerts, you know that I love. And you hear me now. I love to talk. The
We should get you a radio show.
I know. Random improv is not. It's not my weak point. So I love to talk and I love to write. I love to use my imagination and create characters. So I am writing my first book right now, and I'm very excited about it. I love to read. I'm an avid reader, and I love to kind of promote different authors, and that's like a secret passion. And other than that, I am working very hard to be my daughter's Girl Scout leader assistant, troop leader assistant, because I'm not a troop leader yet, because I am a troop leader, but the real troop leader is Mary Kate, and she's kind of amazing. So the furthest I can get is I'm her assistant. So if she needs supplies, like I'm there. But if a child, gets injured or something happens, Mary Kate is there with like the first aid supplies and things like that. But I'm the person that buys those Band-Aids. And, but I am working on getting better at, just thinking ahead and learning how to make knots and learning how to code. We learned how to code the other day in Girl Scouts.
That's
I was
amazing.
like, it's so cool. And so just, keeping my mind open to what is possible for Girl Scouts and things like that. So that's my yes and, but the book writing is my real like deep passion. And so I'm really excited about it.
So you mentioned children's books earlier.
Yes.
Is this a children's book? Is this a memoir?
This is a children's book. Yeah. So
When will it be out?
So I'm hoping, I'll have to talk to my agent, but I'm hoping that it will be out this year. So we're just kind of in the mix of it, and I'm really excited about it. It's a fiction book, and it's actually not for young children, but for early readers. So I'm like, I'm writing chapters, and it's very exciting.
Does it have to do with fearlessness?
Possibly.
Last time you told me possibly was when Fearless, the album, was about to come out.
Oh, really?
And you were like, I'm going to have some songs written by friends.
Right.
And I said, is it the guy on this poster? And pointed to the Hamilton poster.
Right.
And you were like, possibly.
Right.
In that exact same tone of voice.
That would be so, I feel like it's all possible. These things, like I said, being a new mom and having the door shut in front of me because of different reasons, not this enough, not that enough, and having to work and to feed my family and to figure out, okay, well, who am I? Who do I think I am? So I think that I've been able to create a platform for myself that is so fulfilling and exciting, and so I'm creating it, and that's a part of just not just having to be the person that's hired. I want to be the person also behind the table.
It's so funny. I actually pulled a clip of the last interview we did together.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully
I didn't say the same thing. That would be awkward.
It's not like you word for word,
right?
But it's something that I have kept with me for so long. And this was July of 2017, I think, right before the album came out.
Right.
But here's how you said it back then.
Okay.
I don't know if it's about waiting anymore, for that right role, because I find that just kind of, it happens, So the way that I can be proactive is by creating my own opportunities. And I encourage people that want to be actors or singers or whatever in the arts to create their own platform. It's like if you have a love of something and you say, oh, well, nobody's hiring me for this role, so therefore I can't do this. And it's like, well, you have the internet, you have YouTube, you have all these places that you can create your own platform. You can make your own show and connect with people. So for me, that's what it's about, is creating a role for myself in the world where I create more of a connection with people.
And look at you now having totally lived up to that. And you know what I hear when I listen back to that and what I have kept, what like has repeated in my head ever since? This.
You can make your own show. You can make your own show. You can make your own show.
And guess what?
Oh, I love it.
Here we are. Woo! I made my own show.
See, I think that it starts with you. It does. And it starts with who's ever listening. If you feel like, well, I want to do this, but I don't know because I don't have the money and I don't have producers and I don't have this. Just start writing, start creating. Or somebody, the other day told me, well, I want to have a bigger platform on social media so I can start to do, different changes and things like that, but I can't get more viewers. How do I do that? It's like, okay, what is it about you that you love? What do you want to share with your viewership? And so I think that it's not taking yourself for granted, that your dreams can be a reality. It's you that puts the walls in front of yourself, Right. So I feel like
people so often forget how important practice is, and they want the audience before they've necessarily gained the skill. Mm-hmm. And one of the great things about being an early adopter of Twitter for me, which by the way, it's been more than 10 years now since I launched my Twitter account.
Right.
We launched Laura Heywood Interviews to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of Broadway Girl. And I didn't have anybody paying attention because people weren't really using Twitter at that point. And by the time social media marketing became a thing, I was really good at it.
Right.
And I sort of was already good at it when it started because it's very much like being a co-host on a radio show, chiming in with one statement that has humor, information, and is very brief. That's like what a tweet is.
Right.
And so what I tell people who say, I want to have a YouTube channel, but I can't get any viewers, is like, make the content.
You just have to start.
Keep making the content.
And you have to fall a lot,
Right. And do you really want you want to encourage people to watch while you're falling? I mean, that's its own kind of content.
They'll watch eventually, But that's the thing is that you have to feel, some people will be like, well, I don't want to put it out on YouTube because then people will comment and say bad things or, so don't read it. Keep putting it out there. I've had people say the worst possible things about me on, videos that are out there about me, on reviews that have been written about me. They say great things too, but it's like you got to believe, if you're going to believe the good stuff, you got to believe the bad stuff. Just don't read it. Don't read any of it and just keep going.
Or even if you want to make YouTube videos and you don't want people to see your first attempts, you can make them and not upload them.
Exactly.
Like what if you made 10 that were just
for your mom?
Or just for your practice.
Exactly.
Practice is so, so, so underrated.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons that, like, at the beginning of the show today, it was probably like, I don't know, a second of dead air.
Right.
But I was like, oh my gosh, that was so terrible. And people are going to think I'm bad at the radio. And then I'm like, no, I'm new at this. I'm not new at being a radio host, but the last time I had to press the buttons and do the talking was 15 years ago.
I get it. And I think it happens with people also on stage. There's this idea of having to be perfect at everything. And I don't know if it's a societal thing or what, because you're so quickly, people can quickly judge you on a larger platform, that you don't want people to say anything about you because it's embarrassing. And I think that it just happens. Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as perfection, and I think I only know that because I learned that, because I think I strive for it. And that's why I think we are where we are, where we've gotten to. But along the way, we've learned that that's just a part of that leads us on the road. And once you're on the road, it's like you have all those different paths that you can take. So
it's definitely something that social media encourages too. We post the filters,
right?
And we edit out the pictures. I mean, when I don't know about you, but when I look back at my baby pictures, half of them are like blurry or somebody's looking the wrong direction.
You had to take them to like a place like Target or CVS.
And you only had so many shots on a roll of film.
It's true.
Sometimes I feel like a complete like grandmother when I talk about stuff like this.
I know,
and I'm like, we didn't have Google
but
back
it's not that long ago.
I know.
Like,
well, but even when you were like, I moved to Williamsburg in 2000, and I'm like, that was 20 years ago.
I know, but
it feel
like crazy?
It
just happened. And I remember because, we moved there, and when I got there, I got into the apartment and we were in this like railroad apartment, and I was like, I did it. Like, I don't know about this, but I always felt like I was home. You know, I always felt like, okay, now I'm in New York. Now I can make it happen. And I went and I got a job at Dean and DeLuca because I watched that show Felicity with Carrie Russell. And
Who's back on Broadway.
I know who's back on Broadway, who I want to see and burn this. But I was like, she worked at IC Dean and DeLuca in Soho. That's where I'm going to work. And then they're like, well, actually, you know, we have a job in the basement, so you can work there. And it turned out to be great because then I had time to audition afterwards and all that stuff. But I just felt like when I moved to New York, I was home. You know, this was the place for me. And I still go home to California. My family's there. But I feel like, I don't know, now that I'm getting older, I feel like my home has become a little bit more global, you know, and it's become with people that have the same shared interest as well. So that's interesting to me too.
I like that you have, through Fearless Squad and through your own social media, you've let people know it's okay to not be perfect.
Yeah.
And that brings us to a segment that I don't have the sound effects for yet, but that I am very proud of the title of, which is Tweets and Sass.
Let's sing it.
You sing it.
And sass.
I totally talked over you. Can you please do it again so I
Sure.
can use the audio later?
Sure. Tweets and sass.
Yay! That may be my sound effect that I use
cool.
from now on. As long
my
as I
friend
have
and
your permission.
I, who's now an agent, my friend Jody Bowman, we used to sing that score in high school, like
That's chorus line.
during drama, like during lunchtime, because she had a car. Her parents got her a car, and so she would drive us to get pizza, and we would sing chorus line. And Rocky Horror Picture Show was a big one.
And did you think that the line "tits and ass" was hilarious?
Oh, we loved it. We loved everything about it. I never thought that I would work with Priscilla Lopez after that, but when I did, I was, I totally geeked out. You know, it was one of those Adina moments, and then she's like, "Call me Pilo." I was like, "Pilo." Now I call her P because it's just that's my.
You've got P
letter for
and
her.
you got D.
I got P and D, hey.
And what do people call you other than Beast?
Mandolin. Yeah.
Because you're
Janet,
an instrument.
I guess so. Janet calls me that. Janet's a call.
So the Tweets and Sass is all about social media. So let's give the rundown so people can follow you everywhere except like on the street.
Yeah, that would be
following
great.
you home.
Yeah, I don't need that.
So Twitter is at...
_ Mandy Gonzalez with a Z, like Liza. Because and it's funny because my dad gets like really offended when he sees my name on something and it has an S and he's like, it's two Z's, like we were Gonzalez. And I was like, okay. So I always say it's Liza. I mean, it's like Liza with a Z. People ask me, like I say, random talk, this is me, but people ask me what my first concert was. And 8 years old, it was Liza Minnelli because that's just who I was, who I am. So remember Gonzalez with a Z.
Two Z's. Yes. Okay. So Twitter is at _ Mandy Gonzalez. Instagram is at Mandy.Gonzalez.
Yes.
Also with the Z's.
I know. There's a lot of Gonzalez's.
And then on Facebook, it's just Mandy Gonzalez.
Just Mandy Gonzalez. Hey.
I think on any of those platforms, if you search Mandy Gonzalez, you'll find you. So you don't have to necessarily put a lot of like brain energy into remembering, is it the _, is it the dot?
Exactly.
Just search Mandy Gonzalez.
Just search Mandy Gonzalez. And usually, I leave all of my messaging open. DMs.
That's very generous of you.
Well, I like to talk. You can hear me, but I like talking with members of my squad, and people are going through different things, and you always think, well, she'll never message me or she'll never see my video of me singing Breathe, and I always see everything. And also, my dad is now on Facebook as well. So he gets people sending him videos, which he sends to me. So if you also send them to my dad, I will automatically see your videos. So
do we want to promote his account?
No, I think it's best not to promote my dad's account because I just never know what's on there.
Right.
It's pretty G-rated, but you just never know.
Oh
Paul Gonzalez is a very you just never know.
Well, now that you've said his full name, people are going to go follow him on social media, and I can't stop it. So
he posts a lot of jokes. Let's just put it like that.
Dad jokes?
Total dad
Oh, I love a
jokes.
good
Like
dad
anything
joke.
on the Facebook where you're like, I don't know about that. My dad posts it and then he'll put like an emoji. Like now he knows how to do emojis. So he'll put like a hysterical laughing emoji and it's really funny.
Is he still in Northern California?
Yeah, my parents are both. No, they're in Southern California.
Oh,
His
okay.
family's in Northern California.
Because I'm from Northern California.
Yeah, what part?
I grew up in Oakland. My parents
Oh,
still
that's
live in
right.
the first house I lived in when I was born.
Me too. Isn't that
Really?
crazy?
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice,
I was just thinking our dads sound very similar, and maybe we should get them together.
They should totally get
But
together.
if they're in
Was your
Southern-
dad ever in a band?
My dad was an a cappella singer.
Oh my God, they could totally sing together. Because my dad was a singer in a band.
My dad still sings. In fact, I did a show at 54 Below to celebrate 25 years of Broadway fandom. And my dad flew out for it, and he came up and we sang an encore together. Yeah.
That would be my dream, is to sing with my dad. So I'm hoping one of these shows, like one of these concerts, he'll come out and sing with me. Because he used to be a singer, and then it's a long story, but he went to the war, and then he came back and he stopped singing. So I didn't realize that my dad could sing until like I was older.
Really?
Yeah.
Even though you were singing?
Even though I was singing, and he played, both my parents played music all the time. And Sundays were our day with my dad, because he worked like 3 jobs, my mom also worked. So Sundays she was like, I need a break. And she let him like babysit us, and we would watch Elvis movies. So, I fell in love with Elvis and Elvis 68 Comeback. And I really thought Elvis was like related to us, because my dad and Elvis have the same hair.
You never know.
You never know. But then I finally heard him sing, and I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. So I've only heard him sing 3 times in my life, and my dream would be for him to like come up on a concert and sing with me.
Can we send him this clip and be like, Paul?
Oh, he would love it. He would be like, oh, Mia. And then, it's just a matter of when. Maybe when I do a concert out in LA.
How about March 30th at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center?
I wish. He's still working. Yeah. So my dad, people are always like, why do you work so hard? And why do you, my mom just retired after 35 years at the school district. And it's like my dad's up at 4 a.m., like walking to the carpool and, working in Los Angeles. And then so I work hard because I come from 2 hardworking parents, and that also they worked hard, but they also loved their family like nobody else.
I've known some Broadway performers who got special permission to go do certain tour stops on their shows and like switch out with the tour lead.
Oh, that would be
I
awesome.
wonder whether, Hamilton's back in San Francisco.
Right.
I wonder whether you could like switch out with their Angelica and
that
go
would be
do some
amazing.
hometown shows.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Because that's not that far. At least it's a long drive. It's a 6-hour drive.
From your mouth to God's ear. That's like a very, that's a great idea.
You need to call company management.
Yeah, if you could, Laura, that would be awesome.
Okay, I'm just going to write down. I'm going to
call company management.
Make a call
Get
for
it
Mandy.
done.
Get Paul on Singing with Mandy. Okay, amazing. I love having you here so much. You have made it so easy for me to like.
I'm so proud of you, and I'm so proud of this this new show. And
you can make your own show. You can make your own show.
You've been in my ear the whole time as my inspiration.
Because you can, and you're showing people that that it's possible. My friend Jessica Mendoza, who is the first female announcer for baseball on alongside A-Rod, she's doing it too, and to show young women that this is possible, and that this is a platform that you can get involved with, that you can create your own. You can create your own job, your own network. And so I think it's about teaching, you don't realize it now because you're so in it, but it's about like that next generation that's coming up, that's looking at you and going, oh yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah,
so just keep going, because you're leading a whole squad of people.
Here we are. It's I think what's hard for a lot of people to understand, myself included, is that when we say you can create your own dream job, you can't just create it the second you want it, that there are a lot of sort of zigzaggy ways that you have to travel before you can get from point A to point B.
Right.
We are so used to hearing and learning that the most direct way from A to B is a straight line.
Right. If you go to the right school, if you have this, therefore you can make it.
Or they say
and that's just not true.
Yeah. People go like, Laura Heywood has this Twitter account, and so she gets to go see all the Broadway shows for free. So I'm going to get a Twitter account, and then I can see all the Broadway shows for free.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but they don't know. They don't know like the calls you've made. They don't know all of the contacts you've had to make.
Yeah, the fact that I was doing radio for 15 years before a Broadway girl. People. I think because of the way that I write, and especially wrote while the account was still anonymous, the Broadway girl narrative like people think that I'm like 25.
Right.
Which, look, I don't object to that, except when it comes to like how fast this all happened for me.
Right.
And my favorite thing is the look on people's face when I go, I was born in the 70s.
Right,
and
right.
then they're like, what?
Right.
Well,
I have the
barely
name
born in the 70s. But
well, I have the name Mandy, so
Right.
that just kind of gives it away because I'm named after the Barry Manilow.
So you're not
hit.
Amanda.
I'm not Amanda. I'm Mandy, named after the Barry Manilow hit. And it's funny because my parents named my sister Monica and my brother Anthony because they were like, we want to have names that can also be like Latin names and this and that. And I think by the time they got to me, they were just like, well, we like this song, so we're just going to call her Mandy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, where's the Latin name? Come on, you guys. Amanda. I'm like, Amanda, like something. But here I am.
Do you ever perform that song?
No, but I would love to meet Barry Manilow. It's still one of those songs that if somebody does sing it to me, they act like it's very cheesy, and in the moment I'll act like, oh yeah, that's really cheesy, but inside I'm kind of like melting because it's just there's something about it I find really just charming, even though I know like people say it's about his dog. Like, I don't care. It's still like
I've never heard that.
It still like means a lot to me. So if you see me on the street, don't be afraid to sing it.
That's how I feel about Tell Laura I Love Her.
Oh my gosh, I love that song. But see, because it's that thing, it was like yours.
Mm-hmm.
Are you named after that song?
I don't think so.
You never
but
know.
okay. I just got goosebumps. Here's what we need to do.
Okay.
We're going to get my dad and your dad together. Your dad is going to sing Mandy, and my dad is going to sing Tell Laura I Love Her. And we'll get some amazing music director, maybe James Simpliner could do it, to make a mashup.
Let's do it.
And then we'll just sit there and be like, we're not the show today.
No.
Today it's our dads.
It would be so great. It would be so great. And it's like, I don't know. My dad, I just think like, I'm sure your dad is just so like uber proud,
My dad does this thing that we call the proud dad nostril flare, where even when he's not doing anything, he's not saying anything, he sits there and his nostrils flare like, it's almost the equivalent, the facial equivalent of when his eyes fill with tears. But
oh my God.
It's like he's just he's breathing so deeply. In fact, this past weekend, I saw the debut of the proud Papa nostril flare. That's his grandpa name.
Oh my God.
My niece starred in the West Coast debut of Roald Dahl's The Witches,
Oh
which
my
has become a
gosh.
stage play, and she was the Grand High Witch, so she's like the big star. And I sat
your
next
niece
to
that
my
I
dad.
know?
Yeah, my niece
Oh my
Lindsay.
gosh!
Yeah,
Wow!
at the Los Altos Youth Theater.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, and so I'm sitting next to my dad looking at him doing this face that I've seen him do about me and my brother and sister our whole lives. And I was like, it's the proud grandpa nostril
He just
flare
can't help
now.
it. Like he's
No.
like, don't cry, don't cry.
Yeah, exactly.
My dad just collects like playbills. So my dad will come to the theater, and then when he comes on stage afterwards, like he'll be wearing his leather jacket, and inside the coat pockets will be just like tons and tons of playbills that people left on the ground, because he likes to take them to his friends at work, because he always says, Mija, like some people will never go to Broadway. And he has me sign all of them. So he does that, and he collects keychains in New York. And so that's how I'm like, oh, okay. Like my
He's
dad's
a
proud.
fangirl.
He's a total like fandy.
Is that what your fans are called?
Yes, he's a total fandy, and he's like the ultimate fandy. My mom's like, I'm not getting you any more keychains, like even if she comes by herself, and he's like, come on. But he collects playbills. So it's like, if you see Paul, like hold your playbill. He's coming for it.
That reminds me of something that I do on social media. I think a lot about the people who can never come to Broadway. And in fact, one of my goals is to make them feel as close to it as possible, and to kind of live vicariously through me, which is one of the reasons you will never see me complaining about anything, because except maybe like our current political administration,
right.
But I just want people to be like, man, if I was in New York, that's what I do. And I actually created this Facebook group called the Kindness Group Playbill It Forward, where anyone in the world, I will send a playbill at my own expense, a randomly selected playbill, if they will commit to doing an act of kindness for like an intentional act of kindness, something they wouldn't otherwise do, with the goal of making kindness go viral.
Oh, I love that.
And so I pick up all the playbills too. I had to suspend sending them out for a while, because I just was spending so much of my own money on it, and I was having trouble buying groceries.
Of course.
But
that's beautiful.
Now that this show is on the air, this afternoon, I wasn't even planning on announcing it, but this afternoon I'm opening it back up and I'm going to start sending playbills out again.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be giving you those playbills.
Great.
And
Maybe
I'll
we can
get some from my
throw in
dad.
A few signed ones.
Yeah, I would love to. I'll get the sisters to sign it for sure.
And speaking of good deeds, I think we have time for one more segment. Why would we do one more segment?
Okay.
Just cause! Just cause! Just cause!
We're just going to do one more segment, Just Cause, and we're going to use that segment to talk about a very just cause. See the play on words there?
Love it, love it.
Mandy, you are very connected with UNICEF.
Yes.
Talk to me about that.
UNICEF USA, I just went to the conference in D.C., and I just, with my Fearless Squad and reaching out to young people all over the world, what's happening right now in the world, what's happening in the States, these young people can't be forgotten. And so I think that they are reaching out to me on a certain level, and UNICEF, they reach out to a much wider level. So being a part of being a small part of that organization and just learning about all that they're doing all over the world, but also in the USA, has been a complete dream of mine. And the fact that I'm doing it is kind of crazy, but you do learn how fortunate you are in your life. And if you are fortunate with just health, with just the necessities of having running water, learn about those that don't and see how you can help. So I would suggest going to Twitter, to UNICEF USA, and seeing how you can help. And because there's so many things that they're doing just within your community that you don't know about. There's so many people that are coming over, that are refugees, that are people that you can help, because the more we help, the more we make our communities better and stronger. And this is the future. My family came over as migrants, and so I think that's why I have a very strong connection to that from Mexico. And they came here and they never looked for any handout. They worked in the fields picking. So they picked oranges and grapes and peaches and anything. They traveled around the United States. My abuelito, he couldn't drive. He had to learn how to drive just to get from place to place. But they were hard workers and they sacrificed. And then when my grandparents came too old to work in the fields, they worked at a home for the mentally challenged adults, helping them with their daily lives. My abuelito just passed away. My grandmother passed away 2 years ago. And so I think their legacy is left with us, to not forget those that are coming over right now that need extra help. Maybe it's just they need a lunch, or they need somebody to help them find a better way to get to education. Mm-hmm. So that's my passion.
You recorded a song called Line in the Sand for
I did.
UNICEF, and I created a little bit.ly so people can find it. So you can watch the video of Mandy's song Line in the Sand at bit.ly/Mandy UNICEF song. All one word.
Thank you.
And I know that you were also, I don't know whether you actually went down there to do this, but there was this incredible project called Fandango at the Wall.
Yes, it's a project that happens at the Wall every year. It's a fiesta. And it's at the border because there's not a wall yet, thank goodness. But at the border, there is a mesh fence between Tijuana and San Diego. And artists from both sides, musicians from both sides of the border, from the Mexican side and the American side, they play music together. Because with music there are no borders, and it's really beautiful. There's dancing, there's food, there's families, and some families go that see family that they don't get to see on a regular basis, and that's like their one time a year where they get to celebrate together. But there were these three brothers that play violin, and two of them have a green card and one of them doesn't. So two brothers were on the other side of the border in Mexico, and one stayed on the American side, but they all played their trio together, and the Villalobos brothers. And it's really just beautiful because you see this fence and it's just eroded because of the sea that's right there, and it's just it's beautiful. So it's a way to connect.
Well, I encourage everyone to go to unicef.org. That's unicef.org to find out more. That's Mandy's Just Cause, and I am thrilled to be able to help amplify the cause
you, Laura.
and amplify your voice. Your voice can also be heard in concert March 30th at New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Tickets available at Ticketmaster. You can see Mandy 8 times a week in Hamilton on Broadway. There's an online lottery through the Hamilton app, so don't worry if you're having trouble affording those tickets. Kennedy Center, The Who's Tommy in late April. And of course, follow her on all the social media. Just search Mandy Gonzalez. You'll find it. Thank you so much for being here, Mandy. And thanks to everybody who joined us to listen. This is my new labor of love. It is an experiment. We're seeing how it goes. And I appreciate your patience with me as it, moves forward. Subscribe and you can listen live Monday and Wednesday, noon to 1 Eastern on dnrstudios.com/Laura to get every episode a week early. If you're listening via podcast, please rate, review it, and share it. And remember that you also get over 100 hours of additional content with your subscription at DNR Studios. So you can check out Derek and Romaine, The Taylor Strucker Show, I Love My Wife, Happy Campers, lots more. Follow me on all the social media at BroadwayGirlNYC. And we'll see you next time on Laura Heywood Interviews.
Coming up on Monday, Laura Heywood interviews
Ty Defoe, the Native American two-spirit writer and performer who you may have seen in Straight White Men, although he is not a straight white man, on Broadway. He also recently had his play G-Jock on Turtle Island performed in New York, and I'm very, very excited to have him here. This has been Laura Heywood Interviews. I'm Laura Heywood.
Laura Heywood interviews. Follow the action off air at Broadway Girl NYC.
Three minutes to showtime.